Hello, you are able to listen to me, Tarun?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. You are able to see my screen?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay, so I made you as a presenter. In between, if anybody comes, add everybody, no problem. Okay?
Okay, sir.
Except 19 and 20, I think they are not today. They are somewhere else. So don't add them. We are giving attendance to them.
Okay, sir.
Very good. So now let's start our class. We will be starting this class with, as I said, that we are going to the next concept of using the agitation vessel. So here we will have a concept of blending of miscible liquids. We are going to see a term called as blending of miscible liquids. Now before we go for blending or this statement, let us have understand the meaning called as blending. When you have water and ethyl alcohol or two miscible things, you take 1 liter of water, you take 1 liter of ethyl alcohol or methyl alcohol, and they both are miscible with each other. If you add them, mix them thoroughly, then you find that it is called as perfectly blended liquid. What is the meaning of it? From that glass where you have added 1 liter of water and 1 liter of methanol, stir it properly, leave it for some time, take n number of samples from it. All the samples, if they show the same reading, then the product is called as a blend. That is the meaning of it. Homogeneous mixture or perfect blending is over. And the process of mixing, mixing, what is mixing, sir? It is a procedure of inducing
అమౌంట్
motion.
ఆల్రెడీ పంపించింది 12,000 పంపించింది ఇవ్వాలనా 1027 ఏం 12,000 ఎవరు పంపిస్తారు
ఆంటీ ఇప్పుడే ఆలేది ప్రేమాంటి.
Now, first thing is, in a decent manner, dear children, don't unmute your headphones. Please, I request you, because we are teaching it by means of headphones and mics, and directly the sound goes to our brain. And when I am accustomed to teach in this kind of format, in the classroom, of course, you can talk, no problem, because you will be far away. But teachers will not understand. That is a different story. But here in this format, directly your talking will go to my brain. So you will be hurting me. So please, I request you not to unmute your headphones or mics. This is my humble request as a teacher to you. Thank you very much. So you have taken that water and then methanol. Now, if you pour them in a glass in another glass, 1 liter of methanol and 1 liter of water in a tumbler and then leave it, then mixing may not take place, or it may take some time for the mixing to complete, depending upon the situation and their solubilities, etc., etc. But we don't have much time in the industry. We are supposed to make a homogeneous solution. Hence, you adopt a method. You take a spoon in your house and then mix it. That is the activity actually. It is an activity by which we use a mechanism, a principle, a procedure to mix those two immiscible liquids perfectly and then make a homogeneous solution within a short span of time. That is where we are going to use the term called as mixing. Then what is agitation? Means what? In mixing we induce motion. Our hands will move the spoon. The spoon is moving in the liquid, and thus the liquid inside the container will be moving, and thus what happens? The mixing will take place. This is the meaning of mixing actually. We are inducing, the mixing is inducing a motion to the liquid, and it creates flow current. The mixing will take place. That is the difference. Similarly, what is agitation? It is a mode right from the beginning. To see this diagram, I'll show you. This is the exact agitation vessel, which unfortunately, of course, your batch is kept for the project work, a fantastic batch. Till now, from 94, nobody has done like this, because we don't have a problem till now. Unfortunately, we had a situation like this. But since because of this pandemic, we are not able to send to the industry. but we will try to solve what we can do for it. Because if you go to industry only, you will be understanding the rest of the unit operations. That is in the third year first semester, third year second semester, whatever the unit operations are there, you will understand them better because you have gone to a factory and then learned something. Unfortunately, because of this COVID, we are not able to do this. So please, I request to visualize as far as possible. I will bring videos and photos for your better learning. And 100 times I told you that if you are not understanding any difficulties there, put it on a piece of paper and then take a photograph and send it to me. In the next class, I will start the discussion with you with this question without naming your name, without taking your name. But till now, nobody has asked me any questions. So thank you very much. So this is the diagram of an agitation vessel. So these are all the steps by which we climb and then go. And remember, why agitation vessel is not kept on the ground? Because we have to operate in the bottom also. So these are called the leg supports. And then on the leg supports, we make a platform channel, and then we insert this, and then the process takes place. So this is our construction part, no problem. So this is the motor. Last class we have did some problem, isn't it? Which type of motor we should press? We keep an electric motor, no problem. But what is its power? So with those three problems, we will be able to understand what type of electrical motor and what is its power which we are going to use this purpose. That we learn it. Then this is the gearbox. This is the gearbox. And then here in between we'll have mechanical seal. And this part, wherever I'm moving the cursor, is called as top dish heads. And these things which are there, small pipes with some flat things, this is called as flange. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and this is one more thing. So what are these exactly? These are nothing but the points through which we can add some raw materials to it. These are called as diplex. And this is called as a sampler. Now remember, what is a sampler here? After the reaction is over, I will pump the nitrogen gas to this agitation vessel. So because of the pressure, what will happen? The liquid comes out from here. Because if the processing fluids are poisonous, then we cannot close the manhole. Okay. If this is, if you see the other side, we have a manhole. This is the reed. Open it like this, and then you go inside and then repair it and come back. The big hole will be there. But we cannot do it when the material is harmful. In that case, what we'll do? Through one of these 3 pipes, you send nitrogen, inert gas, and because of the pressure, the liquid comes from the reactor like this. You collect it here and then send it to the QCD sample. So once the QCD sample says that yes, the batch is crossed. What is the meaning of batch is crossed? Means what it says that the reaction is completed, or he will have some set points. So in IPC, you will be studying set points. What are the set points? Are the percentage of a component in a given mixture, or estimation, decreasing the concentration. So many things are there. You will find it out. So once you find that once the QCD says the reaction is over, then you will stop the agitator. Then only you will stop the agitator. Till then you will be agitating it. Then what you do? You take out this, open the bottom wall, and then this liquid comes out from here. In industry, of course, pipelines will be there connected to it. But here you can keep a chemical hose called as, we should not call the name rubber pipe, we should call it chemical hose. And from here it comes out. What is this? This is the drain for jacket. So inside this, if you see the steel container, isn't it? Inside the steel container, one more container will be there in which the main reaction takes place. So in between this container and the second container, we have a gap, isn't it? That is called as a jacket, where we can send chilled fluid for exothermic reactions, where we can send chilled water for exothermic reactions and steam for endothermic reactions. So basically, this is the vessel or a reactor or basic model in which we wanted to mix something. That is our thing. Even if it is a reactor, we have to mix it. Even if you are making if you are making 50% of ethyl alcohol solution for some purpose, you are also going to do this in this. So as time passes, I will be showing this kind of videos. If it is possible, I will try to bring more videos and see how it will look like from the top and this one. Okay. So this is about the reactor. Now, we have seen what is blending and what is mixing, what is agitation. Now, the first question rises to us is, what is the criteria of good mixing? Now, you take the same vessel. What purpose it is used? I will state a small reaction. Sodium plus methanol gives sodium with oxide and hydrogen gas. A simple reaction which you all know very well. sodium plus methanol gives sodium methoxide plus water. So now how to start this reaction? Close the bottom wall first. Through the manual check the cleanness of the reactor, it is clean. Then first you admit the methanol. Some quantity of methanol which are supposed to be sent, you send it up to this level. Then what you do now, slowly add through the manual, because you can add sodium by means of a diplet, or you can also add by means of a manhole. But the care must be taken that this room should not have any amount of air content, because if air is present and the operator is taking sodium, that will explode into pieces. The hand also, he will die into pieces, because sodium is highly reactive in nature. So good practice is what? Sodium will be coming in the form of powders and falling into the diplet. So now you are sending them inside slowly. Because of the mixing, reaction takes place. Now suddenly you will stop the addition of sodium to this. Then what will happen? You are stopping the addition of raw material, but you have methanol in. Methanol and sodium is present here. They are reacting to form sodium hydroxide. Now you take a sample and send it to QCD. QCD says that the reaction is not completed. What is the meaning of it? Two conclusions. First one is, we have not added sufficient sodium to the reactor, or whatever the sodium is added to the reactor, that is not completely reacted with methanol to form the desired concentration of sodium methoxide in methanol. Because sodium methoxide is excess quantity. Sorry, sodium methoxide is limiting quantity and methanol is excess quantity. If you go to the left hand side, sodium is a limiting quantity, methanol is an excess quantity. So methanol is a liquid, and in the liquid medium only you are taking the reaction. Reaction is taking place in that. So now what you do? The operator will come again here. Now if he says add sodium, you will add sodium. If not, you maintain for 5 minutes. Then I said that you are not supposed to stop this motor. So it will run for some more time. So 11 o'clock you took one sample. Now 11:30 you take one more sample and send it to the QCD. QCD says that the reaction is over. That is the meaning of it. So unless and until QCD is giving a signal stating that reaction is not over, we should not stop the agitator and the reactions are complete. This is one method. But the theoretical method is what? How can we say the mixing is taking place and it's the perfect mixing? These are some of the points. First one, the use of interference phenomenon to follow the blending of gases in a duct. A beautiful statement. In the industry, if you go tomorrow, in the analysis part, there will be so many methods will be available, apart from your conventional chemistry method, the burette and pipette method, TLC, HPLC, gas chromatography, etc. One of the method is what you know. First step, we will have a small duct or a small pipeline or very small rectangular pipeline, whatever is it, and in that other side we will be keeping sodium vapor lamp, and this side, other end of the pipe, we keep a photographic plate or a mode of visualizing the wave patterns. And we introduce a gas. For example, your task is to mix air and sulfur dioxide. This is your task. Now remember, it is easy to mix liquids, but very difficult to mix gases. And gases also, you cannot think of this agitator, because you know why? You know very well that when you pump a gas, so this can we use this device for mixing sulfur dioxide and air? No. Why? Because you give a connection of sulfur dioxide to it, the gas goes from the bottom. After this, you send air from the top, it is going from the bottom. Close this, start rotating it. Sir, you know very well, the sulfur dioxide is a gas, air is a gas. By default, they will try to go to the top. The specific of less, they try to go. And when you start the impeller will be rotating, and majority of the time the impeller is rotating, nothing is happening to the system. So these kind of models will not work for mixing of gases. So hence what we should do, we should have a separate design for that. We will see in the later stages of this class. So here the first step is what? When you want to mix sulfur dioxide and air, first you conduct an experiment. Now remember, this first point is done only in R&D departments, not in the conventional commercial chemical industries. So what you do is you pump sulfur dioxide first through a duct, and then keep a sodium vapor lamp, and other side you keep some indicator which will be studying the wave pattern. Okay, so it can be photographic plates or a counter devices, anything you name, you will make. But your aim, I am telling you only the basic principle. What you should do is you should try to observe the wave patterns, note it down, then you stop it, send air, note down the wave patterns. Now what you do, you conduct an experiment now. What is that experiment? Now you are going to send 99% of air, 1% sulfur dioxide, and you study the wave patterns. First 3 experiments over. Fourth experiment, sulfur dioxide 2%, air 98%. Like that you increase sulfur dioxide 99%, air 1%. So how many reactions you conducted, you make it down. Now you read the pattern. Now what you do, sir? A sample will come from the production block stating that can you find whether the mixing is complete or not. Now you bring it and then blow through this and then take the same signal and then study the wave pattern. If this wave pattern matches with any of the percent, because already he will give you the percentage. If it is meeting with the one which is there in your hand, then we say mixing is complete. Otherwise, we don't say mixing is complete. If you tell him that, sir, you go back and then do the mixing to take place. Now this type of work is done only in R&D, which are not usual in our chemical industries. Second one, the color change of an acid-base indicator to determine liquid blending times. You know very well that whenever the reaction is taking place, one of the powerful tools which is available for an operator to say the end of the reaction is change in the color. I will tell you some instances. In the chemical industries, we have a person standing in front of reactor called as operator. He will be 10th class pass only, but he has a lot of knowledge because he is working on this reactor for 15 years. By seeing the reaction only, he will say, sir, reaction is over. He has a lot of confidence that he will stop the process and transfer the batches also. The shift engineer will take the sample and then send it to the QCD, but ultimately he knows that the sample will be passed because it's experience. And remember, the operator will be concentrating only on one reaction, nothing else, because it's 10th class pass. But you will be concentrating on the entire plant. So what I want to say is, color change at the end of the reaction is a tool for us to predict the reaction is completed. That is important. Because you know in your chemistry lab, after adding A and B, you would add a phenolphthalein indicator, blue to red, red to blue. Once you get red or blue, what you will do? You will stop adding the material which is there in the burette. Yes or no? Similarly in the industry also. This is there in our industry. Color change. So for that purpose, what we do? Here I will show you one more diagram here. Here through the manhole we have side glass. Here we will keep it off light, and the operator will be seeing through this. Light passes and then falls into the container. Everything is visible to you. And by observing the color, he will say the reaction is over. This is one method. Second one, rate of decay of concentration or temperature fluctuations. A beautiful statement. Now you know very well that all the tablets will be having expiry date. Why the tablets are having expiry date? Because you know very well that after the expiry date you will have, what will happen? The medicine will not work perfectly. It is because the original concentration, which is decaying with respect to time, after a certain time it becomes below the half or something else, then we stop the usage of the tablet. Similarly, in your chemistry lab, the teacher or your storekeeper will prepare fresh solutions. He will not keep the solutions which are prepared last year or last before year. Before you go to the chemistry lab, you prepare a solution, fresh solutions you prepare, so that the concentration is very vigorous, and then you use it, the purpose is solved. So how to understand this decay in the concentration? For example, let us understand a small reaction. A plus B gives products. A plus B gives products. What is A? A is a raw material. What is B? B is a raw material. You know that during the reaction, the concentration of reacting species decreases with respect to time. So if you plot a graph between concentration and time, the curve will be having a sloping bottom. Initially concentration is high, but after time, T1, T2, T3, T4, T5 seconds, what will happen? It decreases, and some reactions it may become 0, or in some reactions the line becomes parallel to x-axis. What does it indicate? Indicate that beyond that the reaction will not take place, and we have to approach a thermodynamics to give another conditions which can change the conversion to 100%. So first step is what? You take the sample, UCD, then he do the concentration, he does the test, and he finds that the concentration of A is 1 milligram per liter. Then he will ask us to bring second sample after 15 minutes. take the second sample. You will also measure and then find that it is only 1 milligram per liter. Then he says that, yeah, now the concentration of A is not decreasing. So hence we will stop the reaction, you will say. And then you will enter into your logbook. Or temperature fluctuations, very important. Even the operator is also very intelligent there because he is working there since 10 to 15 years. He is a 10th class pass, but he controls the reaction. Now, what is the role of this temperature here? Especially and exclusively for exothermic and endothermic reactions, these temperatures are very important. You all know very well that the rate of reaction is proportional to temperature. You also know that you cannot apply the statement to exothermic reactions because in exothermic reaction, as the reaction is taking place, you will get heat along with the products. And if you don't remove the heat, the products will give back the reactants. So hence what we should do, we are supposed to remove the heat. And you know very well that when you remove the heat, what will happen? The temperature decreases. So these are called as temperature fluctuations. So initially you add A and B, temperature slowly increasing. Why? Because it is exothermic reaction. As the reaction takes place, you are supposed to cool it, maintain it at a particular temperature. For example, they say that the operating temperature should be 45 degrees centigrade. It is written in the reactor. If you are adding A and B, and if it is an exothermic reaction, it states that the data sheet says that you are supposed to maintain at 45 degrees centigrade. So what you are going to send into the jacket? First question. You are going to send chilled water because for an exothermic reaction, you are supposed to remove the heat. So hence, you are supposed to cool it. So now, you send the chilled water and then maintain the temperature at 45 degrees centigrade. So operationally, if the temperature is going 55, what you will do? Admit more amount of cold fluid or chilled fluid into the jacket. If the temperature is coming down, stop the supply of chilled fluid. This is how the operator works in front of the reactor. So if the temperature is constant, after 15 minutes, it is at 45 only. After 25 minutes, it is at 45 only. What does it indicate? It indicates that reaction is over because the amount of heat liberated will be completed, is over. So hence he says reaction is over. So this is how, now when the reaction is over, when the mixing is proper only, the reaction will be over. If not, no question at all. Second one, the variation in the analysis of small samples taken at random for various parts of the mix. This value is very true when we are mixing free-flowing solids. We are supposed to mix two free-flowing solids. Free-flowing solid number 1, free-flowing solid number 2. Let us take the example of sand and sugar. You take 1 kg of sand and you take 250 grams of sugar. You take 1 kg of sand, you take 250 grams of sugar and then mix them properly. And you take n number of spot samples. You find that the concentration is same. For every sample you have 25, 1, it is maintained. Then that indicates that the mixing is over. So in some cases, we have to take the analysis of the samples also. It's very important. Then the next one, the rate of transfer of solute from one phase to the another phase. Please remember the basic reaction which I told you. Ammonia reacts with water. So how does it react? Ammonia is a gas, water is a liquid. So first step is what? Ammonia should be soluble in the liquid state. So from the bulk of the gaseous phase, the ammonia has to go to the liquid phase. And in the liquid phase, it has to move to all parts of the container. So thus the concept of mass transfer will come into the picture. So what is the transfer here? Because of the agitator, because of the generation of flow currents, the materials will be transferred and then mixing will take place properly. Then the visual uniformity in the solids and liquid mixtures. That is very important. Now, uniformity in some of the things, we add a dye so that the final product has to impart some amount of color. In some, say for example, you take beauty creams, you take ointments, etc., etc. Now, how to indicate that the mixing is over? Yes, deliberately we'll introduce a dye, small dye, harmful dye, and then we maintain the measurement of intensity of the color. And thus, if the uniformity is there in the product mixing after that, so this is done by the operator only. He sees into the reactor, yes sir, we have obtained the color, I can give guarantee that if the color is obtained, then we take the sample and do the analysis and find intensity of color. If the chemistry teacher says that it is okay, analysis part says it is correct, then we'll go for the further process. So how these are all completely coming to conclusions? It's only because of good mixing. If mixing is not proper, then they will not show the results, they will show different types of results, and then they have to be in the reactor for more amount of time for mixing to take place. So dear children, So these are the basic points, how to say that mixing is a good mixing. Mixing is perfect, and now we have made a product, and the product has to move to second unit or has to go market, whatever. So these are called as the criteria for good mixing. Then, oh my God, this is a very good equation. Yeah. So only the half part, see I have cut a reactor half suddenly. And then I wanted to find how the flow currents are going, because for me next topic is very important. So again I am repeating this flow pattern in agitation vessels. So this pictorially is telling us how the currents will be generated and how the currents will be going on, everything we can see it. Okay, now let us see one by one in detail. This is a sectional view. In our engineering drawing, it's called a sectional view. Hope you studied engineering drawing. Half. I have cut the reactor into two parts. So hence I have a shaft. This is other side of the impeller is gone. So this is our impeller, and then this is the baffle, and then this is the surface of the liquid. And now this agitator is rotating like this. So when it is rotating like this, what will happen, sir? First, if you see, the currents are going from here. This 0.7 and 0.5 are nothing but the velocity terms of the velocity values of the flow currents. So 0.7 to 0.5 they are taking, that means for the stream is moving at this velocity, whatever it is, no problem. That gives the magnitude value of that particular flow current. Now when take 0.5 points, when we know very well that the first flow current which is born is the radial current. It starts moving perpendicular to the axis. This is the axis of the shaft. If it is moving in this fashion, it is called as radial currents. If it is moving in this fashion, perpendicular to the axis of the shaft, is called as radial current. But suppose if it is moving topward and bottomward direction, it is called as axial or longitudinal currents. But suppose if it is rotating like this, it is called as circulatory currents. So here you see circulatory currents more. Now, when the impeller is giving a blow, the liquid will be agitated and starts moving, and then the liquid comes to this vessel wall, and at this vessel wall, see the change in the direction, either it's going the top direction, either in the bottom direction it's coming out. So majority 0.4, so say 0.5 is becoming 0.4. Why? Because we are moving in the against to gravity. But here it is drastic decrease there, because the volume is less here. Because the volume is less, it is not proper for us to maintain the current, so hence the velocity decreases. Now here when the blow takes, suppose think that this route 0.4, 0.4, 0.4. What is 0.4? 0.4 is the numerical with which the layer, or sorry, which the current is moving in the top direction. Please try to understand it. Now when it going to the top part, what is happening? It is becoming 0.1. And again afterwards, it is moving in this plane, and then it is coming down slowly. So now, because of gravity it is coming, so it will increase its velocity. So by the time it comes to this, what will happen? Again, it forms one loop. So from here it goes and forms the second loop, and then it characterizes its own layer. So hence, if anybody is there, they have to follow the second layer like this, and then the third layer, fourth layer like this. And if it is discontinuous, in between we have eddies which are there, because what are eddies? Are eddies of strong current which will not maintain any directions. In fluid mechanics, we have seen this. What are eddies? Eddies are strong currents which will not maintain any directions. Okay. In case of laminar flow, all the flow currents will be maintaining some specification. They go in a standard straight line, maintaining some distance between them, so that when we introduce dye in between, it is a straight line. But what is turbulence, sir? Turbulence is the birth of the layers, the flow currents which move with very high velocities. When they move with high velocity, they don't maintain any directions. Then the second one, it is coming, then 0.2, 0.5. So like this will come down. So by the time they come, they take the second one. Now remember, these values will be established only after certain amount of time. Means what? The moment you start the agitator, all these values will not be there, because you see, this is the surface of a liquid, and this is the what? This is the agitator here which is present. So once you start the agitator, what will happen? Only in this vision only, in this region only, the liquid starts moving. unless and until the layer, the stream, the current, which is having enough strength, it has got enough strength to go to the top of the liquid only, then only you see the movement in this liquid, in this top surface. Till then you don't see. It may take 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes. We don't know how much amount of time. It all depends upon the size of the agitation vessel. I repeat, it all depends upon the size of the agitation vessel, because the vessels which are used for stratified layers, a big volume will be there. You can't even imagine. I'll tell you how big it will be. I'll show the diagram also. It will be very big because we are supposed to store the molasses there. Okay. So in that case, what will happen? It may take a lot of time for the impeller's action to be seen on the surface of the liquid. Now, after, say for example, 10 minutes or 15 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever it is, then you find that the liquid is moving with a constant velocities, and all the layers are moving, have been established, and this kind of picture we can see it. Then we say it has come to steady state. Then once you add the raw material B in the diplet, then of course it takes less amount of time to mixing to take place, dissolution to take place, and the reaction to take place. Now the point is, why we have a swirling at this point? Because the liquid which is going from here, it comes down. I said there is no much volume is there here. So accumulation of mass is more in this particular region. So hence there is a traffic jam is there. Because of it, the velocity decreases. And fluid, and again the metal goes from here. But exactly below the, I said E, we should not reduce the value of E to 0. Why? Because this space, when some metal is present, what will happen? It may not go up. So what will happen? It starts rotating like this. And this is called as swirling. What is swirling, sir? It is nothing but a region in which flow currents are only circulatory paths. And remember, this is a very small thing, very, very small thing. And in the chemical industry, we will notice that once you open the valve, at least if the reactor size is 5 kL, 1 liter fresh liquid will come. Only 1 liter. What is this? This is the thing which is not melted, or mixed, sorry, not mixed. And once you open the valve, slowly the liquid will be coming out. A uniform liquid, uniform blend will be coming out. And then finally, this 1 liter will mix with the entire light layers. This is not required. So here only, in this region only, we have the concept of swirling, where material will be rotating only in this fashion. They get rare opportunity to go back unless and until this 3.5 is becoming 0.7, 0.8, and then destroying all the characters. I said that this photograph is taken after starting the agitator, after establishing all the flow currents. So this is how the flow currents are established in a agitation vessel. Then, what we are seeing exactly? We are seeing a term called as blending of miscible liquids. Blending, you know, I told you, what is a miscible liquid? Ethyl alcohol, water, or miscible liquids. Now, miscible liquids are blended in relatively small process vessels by propellers or turbines. Impellers usually centrally mounted, and in a large storage vessel, storage or a waste treatment tanks by side entering propellers or jet mixers. Now I will show you some diagrams where the tank sizes are very big. See, now human being will come up to this point. Human being will come up to this point only, not beyond that. See, this is a big one. So if you keep an agitator here, this much amount of the tank, and if you start agitation system, how much amount of time will take this movement to be observed at the top of the reactor? And what is the power consumption? Do we have that much amount of power? Now, do the management will give permission for me to use that big power consumed electrical motor which consumes huge amount of electricity? So in that case, what I should do? I should use a side entering propellers with what we have read it here. That I will show you once again. Okay. So here we call this, here we have a large process vessel where we have to store liquids in a large tanks. One example I will give you. When we go to a sugar factory is a place where we produce sugar. Generally, sugar is produced from sugar cane, and sugar cane is not a continuous crop, it is a discontinuous crop, or it is called a seasonal crop. So once we have a crop of sugar, we go for harvesting, and then the sugar cane is brought to the sugar factory. Like if you go to Gayatri Sugars, you will see this. In the bullock carts or in the tractors, the farmer will bring heaps and heaps of sugar cane, and he will sell it in the sugar factory, goes away. Now what we do here, we crush the sugar, and then we make, we extract the juice, and with the juice we make sugar. So once sugar is made, the remaining part of the liquid is called as molasses. Molasses is a starting raw material for ethyl alcohol by fermentation. But molasses has to be diluted in the form of 1:10 ratio. Then only we can grow about some amount of microorganisms and fermentation can take place. But since sugarcane is not a continuous crop, time to time we are supposed to store the molasses. So in a sugar factory, the molasses storage tanks are very big tanks and large tanks, where we can automatically dip a 5-story apartment inside that. That a huge dig will be there. So if you go and see the sugar factories, you see that molasses is stored in a large process vessels. And in a large process vessels, it is virtually impossible for us to have an agitator and then create this kind of flow currents with a system which we have seen in our previous classes. So what we should do for that? That is a problem for us. Let us crack the problem within a short span of time. One more diagram. See, such a big one. So here someone humming mixer, he may come maximum up to this level, but liquid is there from top to bottom. So how to store it? How to start it? Mixing? No, it is not possible. Difficult, very difficult. We have to find a solution for it. Now this is exclusively for wastewater treatment plants. When you go to Amberpet, where we have a wastewater recycling unit, or for example, Girimatla Common Effluent Plant, treatment plant, there you see a big storage vessels will be there, and these are the electrical motors which are kept, and see the baffles here, and see the types of the agitators which are different. And you have already seen that on a single shaft we can have a number of impellers can be mounted because of this large process vessel, and here 2 are there. So when we can afford this kind of system, we can go for it, or else we can go for a procedure which will be reducing the cost of the process. That is important. So we have to design our process in such a manner that the cost decreases. So for that purpose, what we should do is a very important thing which we learn in few minutes. Now again come back to the statement which we have seen here. Yeah. Miscible liquids are blended in relatively small process vessels. Like say for example, this is a small process vessel, this is a 5 kL reactor. And then here we can use the small process vessel for mixing of materials provided the volume is below 5 kL. 5 kL stands for 5,000 liters. By the propeller or the turbine. So what is the propeller turbine? Here he is talking about this part. So what we have a propeller or a turbine. You know, propeller can be used for creating only axial currents. But if we have draft tubes, then we can maintain the fashion of currents and then mixing can take place, or we are able to establish the perfect type of flow currents and mixing can be easy there. Then turbine impeller, this is example of a turbine impeller, usually centrally mounted. If you see this, this is centrally mounted. We have the other part here and this is centrally mounted. Centrally mounted, and in a large process, large storage and waste treatment tanks by side entering propellers or jet mixers. So this is a solution for it. So what we do is, in case of a large layer or large storage tank, there is a difficulty called as stratified layers. Big question. There is a term called as stratified layers. What are stratified layers? Stratified layers are those layers which are formed inside the large process vessel in the due course of time, in which on a molecular scale the specific gravity changes. Once again. Stratified layers are what? Stratified layers are layers which are formed in due course of time. Okay, in one day it will not happen. You add some methanol in it, goes up to this point, or some water, something, some material closes. Then if you find after 2 or 3 days, there are stratified layers are there. In this the layers will be there. They are not seen through the naked eye. What did I say? What are stratified layers? On a molecular scale, there will be variations in the specific gravity will be there because of the settling. And these are called as stratified layers. So here it is entire water, no problem. If you see as an individual, it is a water. But because you are storing in a large process vessel, and after some time, in the due course of time, 1 or 2 days, if it is having some solids, something else, molasses, etc., on a molecular scale, I said, means what? Molecular scales cannot be considered for macroscopic scale. For calculations, you take density same, but only on a molecular scale, minute basis, the specific gravities will be different in this. But this will not be beyond the specific gravity of the methanol or the water, whatever the material you are going to take it. So these layers mixing will become very difficult. So hence what you do is, you try to insert a propeller like this, it will rotate, not centrally mounted. From here it will not rotate. From here it will not rotate. From here it will not rotate. Or you go for the jet mixing. Jet mixing is, I will explain you next class, next slide, whatever it is. So what we do generally in the jet mixing is, we take out the fluid from the bottom, keep a compressor here, and this pipeline which is going out from the compressor enters end points of the vessel. You can make it entrance at this point, second point, third point, go back from the top, at various angles you insert it. But inlet is same. You take the inlet from the bottom, send it to a reciprocating compressor, and from there you can give outlet to n number of 1, 2, 3, like that you get number of connections you can give. So what will happen? This will go and destroy all the stratified layers, because once a jet of fluid enters, what will happen? The flow currents will be born, and then because of momentum transfer, within a short span of time, we can see the entire circulate, entire flow currents have been born into the reactor, born into the system, and thus we establish as a flow. So they start mixing perfectly, and then the uniformity can be maintained in this, where when the size of the process vessel is very large. Two methods. First one is what? From the bottom take it out, jet mixer, or what you can do, side entering propellers. So in your house, if you have a egg churner, what will happen? We introduce them in a different angle so that the mixing will take place uniformly, because when you mix eggs, they are having high viscosity, so it is difficult, little bit difficult. So if you use this churner with different angles, your hand, you can mix them properly for the preparation of the cake or whatever it is. Yeah. In a large storage and waste treatment tanks by side entering propellers or jet mixers. Very good. So this jet mixer, again diagram we will see in the later stages. In the process vessel, all the liquid is usually well agitated and blended fairly rapidly. So in this vessel, 100%, whatever the system is there, we see that the flow currents are established, and then the mixing takes place successfully, and experiment is successful. Next. In a large process tank, the agitator may be idle much of the time and be turning on only to the blend the stratified layers that are found as the tank was being filled. So if you keep a, if you keep a propeller type of agitator, a turbine agitator like this, and with only single one, what will happen here? The propeller will be present and it will start rotating. So here only it will take much amount of time for the creation of the flow currents, because as we try to count down, the stratified layers strength will be more. Okay, so hence we require a lot of energy to break them and then to start our flow currents. And these flow currents, they have to come to the top. Then only we can see the agitator is functioning or not. Because once you start the motor, we don't know what is happening inside. Unless and until we see from the top that the layer of the liquid is disturbed or moving, something is happening that indicates that yes, whatever the action of the impeller is there, that is felt by this entire liquid. If not, you have to go for another motor. So hence it takes a lot of time and it comes. So much, he says that initially much of the time the impeller will be there for rotating only for the bottom of the liquid. So in order to avoid, and moreover, this length, this impeller and the electrical motor, huge power is consumed here. So hence this model may not work. So what you do, keep 3 or 4 models. If it is working, it is accepted. No problem. How do you say it is accepted? Only when if you see from the top through the manhole that within a short span of time after starting the agitator, if you see the disturbed layers are on the surface, that indicates that yes, the flow currents have born and now they are coming to the surface. Now the well mixing has started. This is the only conclusion which we get it. If not, go for another model like introducing side impellers or go for the jet mixer. Then stratified blending is often very slow. So as I said just now, it takes a lot of time for the flow currents to come to the surface, because this length is very big one and the layers have been formed because of the we are not using it for some days, 3 or 4 days we didn't use, so hence stratified layers are formed. What are stratified layers? Once again, stratified layers are the imaginary layers which are formed in the fluid, in the liquid, because of during the due course of storation, where they can be differentiated only on the microscopic scales. The specific gravities will be minor variations will be there. Okay, that's the meaning of it. Then Blending in a process vessels. The impeller in the process vessel produces high velocity streams. High velocity streams, what is the evidence? This 0.5, 0.7. These numericals are high when compared to others. Okay, so hence the meaning is high velocity. See the statement? The impeller in the process vessel produces a high velocity stream, 0.7, 0.4. High velocity stream, and the liquid is well mixed in the region close to the impeller because of the intense turbulence. So here, since the turbulent impeller is rotating with a specified amount of the RPM, it can give more amount of energy to the liquid which is present in the vicinity. Thus flow currents are more here. So hence we have a region of turbulence. Dear children, I will stop it here because I have to take my attendance also. Okay. Tarun? They said we can, okay,
Sir.
they said, yeah, thank you. They said we can take attendance also from here. To do. Okay, I will do one thing. I will scroll this video because anyway this video is recorded. I will see how many students are present in the class. $49? $49. $49, please respond. See?
సార్ కనెక్షన్ పోయింది సార్ ఇప్పుడే ఆన్ హోల్డ్
Already?
అని వస్తుంది 49 అయింది సార్.
Very good. This is a technical issue. Yeah, thank you very much.